Welcome to this edition of Park Hill In Depth. We are at Tiffany Ridge Elementary with our Superintendent Dr. Cowherd. And Dr. Cowherd, as our district has grown, it's been harder for our bus service to hire and keep drivers, and so we're changing our start times. So I'd love to start with why. Why are we changing our start times?
Well, I really believe that what you just talked about around our school buses and our growth is really the driver behind this. So as we've continued to grow as a school district, we now have over 11,650 students, so that's a large school district. And as we've done that, the needs that we have for our bus transportation has really increased. The other thing that plays into that is that our bus service company has been just struggling a little bit in order just to find drivers. And so when that happens, then we're having to use substitute drivers. We're having to use people from their office to drive routes that don't know the routes. And so as a result, then we really get poor service also. And the other piece behind this is too, believe it or not, by going to a multiple tier system, it actually saves us taxpayer dollars. And so we've really framed this around the thought process. We want to provide safety for our students, we want to provide great service for them, and we also want to be good stewards of our taxpayer dollars.
Can you talk about the process or the timeline for start times will begin next year, but this month, what does that timeline look like?
Absolutely. We will be making our first presentation to the board on Thursday, April the 11th. Knowing that this was so important for our families, though, we wanted to get the information out to them as quickly as we could. So we actually released that on Tuesday this week on the 9th of April. And so that information is out on our Park Hill Listens. And so we encourage our parents, our staff, our students, anybody that wants to respond, please go to that site. We are asking that they make a selection of one of the time frames that are available, and then also provide feedback to us of things. What should we consider? What is really, really, really important for us to remember as we make this decision?
So you've talked about the April 11th board meeting and the feedback that is available and open on Park Hill Listens. So what is next after that?
After that, we will be listening to our community over the next week, and that will actually stay open until the 19th of April. And so we want to get that feedback because I can't probably say this enough, but our decision has not been made yet as we go forward. And so we want that feedback to help drive that decision for us. Once we receive that feedback, then we'll be meeting as a team and with our bus service company and looking it over to make a great decision. And then on April the 25th at the next board meeting, we'll be taking a recommendation to the Board of Education. And at that time, we will include school names at that time too.
That is one of the most popular questions
Yes.
we are getting on Park Hill Listens right
Yes.
now is why the school names are not posted under those tier options. Can you explain that?
I want our families to be able to look at each scenario because each family has a different situation. They may have just one child and that child may be in elementary school, or they may have multiple kids and they've got high school, middle school, and elementary. And so what we want them to do is look at all of those and then place them in those different situations and what would they recommend based on what their situation is would be the best for them, knowing that I might have a high school student that's on the first tier and I might have an elementary student on the last tier or a middle school student on the middle. So help us with that and give us that feedback. And so that's really why we wanted to do that. And again, this decision has not been made. And so gathering that feedback will help us make that decision.
And if you do look at the 3 tiers, you'll notice that both high schools will still start earlier.
Yes.
On all 3. They'll still be in that first grouping, right, in all 3 options.
Correct.
So that's another popular question we're getting is around high school start times and high school students and when they start classes.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit more about that?
I can, and actually it's been a common topic that I've had. I've done over 50 presentations just this semester long on this topic, and we kept coming back to the fact that this isn't about high school start times. That's not the purpose of this. This is really an operational decision for us, at providing great bus service for us. And as we've shared at that time, we're going to keep the high schools on the first tier regardless, because there's just so many changes that are going on with this. But we also have the commitment to our community that if they want to have the conversation around high school start time, we're happy to have that. We just feel like it takes a longer period of time to have that because it's not just about what research may say or not say about high school start times, but also what do our communities feel like with their elementary student start times or their middle school start times. And so for us, it's a bigger conversation. We're happy to have that. I hope we will have that. But we feel like right now with redistricting, the shuffling of our middle school processes, and then changing start times, there's just so much change we can do at one time. And so we made that commitment to go ahead and leave high schools at the earliest, on the first tier, whatever that happens to be. But again, we are more than happy to have that conversation in the future.
Our school-age child care program, which is called Adventure Club, has also come up in Park Hill Listens. How will that change, or what changes are coming for that?
Okay, well, the first change that came up was that they have moved their time to register children for that. And so we know that our parents need to know which school and which tier they're in, and so they need that information in order to sign their child up. So we have moved that. So that's taken off the table so they can register at the right time. I think it's also important to note that the hours that we provide that service will still be the same. We will still open at 6:30 in the morning, and we'll still be closing at 6 in the afternoon. So in some cases they may need a little more in the morning and less in the afternoon. It depends on the situation as we go through there. I think the other thing that's important around this too is just the fact that of just trying to get capacity for that. And we're working really hard to recruit and to hire the very, very best people for those jobs. We're a little bit picky of who it is that's with our children every day, and I know that our parents are too, as we go forward. And we're also looking at how can we do job sharing and put other jobs together to make those positions more attractive to our employees too.
Thank you so much for all that information on start times so far. Okay, spring is such a great time to get outside, maybe go for a walk, maybe go for a jog, and there's a great opportunity in Park Hill to do that and help our district assistive technology at the same time. So can you kind of remind us and tell us a little bit more about Sophie's Run?
I'd be happy to, because Sophie's Run is such an important part for us as a district and as a community. And it was actually started by the Edwards family, and so a special thank you to Jim and Teresa Edwards. This is actually in honor of their daughter, Sophie. But it is to help us purchase assistive technology for our special needs students. And so to help them see and to learn and to communicate, a lot of times they may need some extra assistance with this. And so it really does support those students and allows them those opportunities to actually bring their whole self to school and to participate fully within our school. So we thank them so much, and we want to encourage everyone to participate.
You can register to run, walk, or volunteer for the 5K at runsophies5k.com. It is May 11th at Lake Wacomas. And for more information on school start times, visit parkhilllistens.com. We truly value your feedback. With Paul Lewis behind the camera, I'm Samantha Fitzgerald, and we'll see you next time for another edition of Park Hill In Depth.